fingers again. I don't know what it is, but I will link it when YouTube drops it. Sometimes it lets me resume, sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully you'll find it. New link up. There, new link up. It's a wonderful thumbnail of a wall. It looks like the chat's still going, so maybe they haven't realized it got stuck. But I will read when I missed it. Yeah, let's just say YouTube drop. Maria says I can actually look up the Faubourg word now. Heidi's there. Good. Hey Heidi, by the way. And then Nella says it is in fact very interesting between Toininkri Kaukunen and Oud Norland. I know that one. How they define what would make make knowing a stitch as per Norland. One could only know one, and Kaukunens does say that people know how to adjust the yarn. I'm going to look up Faubourg really quick. I can show you what I love. This page. There you can see I'm frozen. Okay, so if we go to, you'll see where I get all my info from, so this is not unique at all. en.noilakentat.no, and I probably just butchered the name. We go to the Finnish family. We can zoom in. There we go. We can lift it up just a little. There. Anyway, so you go on this page, the English version, click on Finnish stitches, and you'll see she's got a whole list here. Actually, yeah, 2 + 1 is Faubourg, so I have that right. But I thought Rindal was the plated edge. We can actually just, yeah, there. Let's see. If we just click on this, it'll just bring up a whole list in a window here. Let's see if we turn it. Oops, wrong way. That way a bit more, sorry. Okay, so you have 1 + 1 with the plated edges, Bjørsbo. 1 + 1 is Oslo. So if you did Oslo, where you were, let's see, where's my yarn? Here we go. If you did your Oslo stitch, and you go, whoop, that candle's falling, camera's falling. If you go not under this yarn, but over that yarn, then you get Bjørsbo, and it gives a plated edge on the other side. But then let's see, M1 is a fun one, by the way. You should try that one. Mammen and Corgan is 1 + 2, so 1 loop here, 2 loops there. And then the next one is, yeah, it's Rindal is the plated edge. Ha! Score 1 to me. I actually got that one right. So if you were to do the Mammen stitch, where you go, let's see, 2 away and 1 forward, but you go over, that's Rindal. If you go under, it's Corgan. Unless you're doing an F2 join, then it's Mammen. But that's nitpicking. But yeah, nope, so I was right. If you have 1 away and go 2 forward, so finish 2 + 1, that would be Faubourg. Ha! Score 1 for the blonde girl. But anyway, that page is really good. I'll go up a little higher here, and you can, let's see if I keep stop smacking it. There, Neulocken, www.en.neulocken.fi. You can see to my window there. Okay, now I'll zoom back and go on my fingers again. And then I'll put the chat back up so I can see it on there. Let's see. But anyway, that's how I figure. If it's not written on there, then I have no flippin' idea. Peruta writes, my apologies for tonight. My afternoon nap went overtime. Ah, you found us. Okay, good. So everyone's back. I have no idea what happened, but sometimes YouTube says, do you want to reconnect? And sometimes it just crashes. So, oh, you sent a link in the old one. That's good. Okay. Oh, Karsten is here. He says, I'm sorry for not watching you live this evening, but I'm on the way back from learning how to sail with a Viking ship. Oh, cool. Today more theory, but summer with first practice. So fun. Okay, well, it seems the chat is still working here, but my YouTube died. I started another live. Okay. I don't know why the other chat's still working. Anyway, okay, so what were we at? I have a lot of mess here. Let's just pick it out. I think plied yarn is good when you're when you're fine picking stitches. There we are. Maybe one more. There. So finish 2 + 3. That was the one. I think that Actually, before we go to finish 2 plus 3, there's another one I didn't do. There was somebody who also asked about needles, and I had wrote like a huge flippin' essay about what I thought on needles. Use this one with, but one of them was a sharp needle. Usually don't use a needle that's too sharp because it will catch on your yarn, but sometimes you want it to catch on your yarn. So somewhere on that list, you'll start seeing half stitches. And oh God, I got to look at one of those to see how it was. Again, where does she have the half ones? Yeah, finish. She has one on there that's called finish 1 plus 2.5, and then that would be 1 plus 2. But the half, I think you actually, oh, we have to do one more than for half. So you start with 3 actually, even though it says 1 plus 2. So there's 1 plus 2, but you would take 2 away, and this is where the sharp needle would come in handy. You have to split this thing in 2, and that one is easier with applied yarn. And there's going to be really hard for me to do this while looking with my hands around a camera, but let's see, I'll hold it over here for a second. I should have had a sharp needle for this, but I didn't bring it. If I can pierce the ply. There. Okay, so it would be 2 away, and then you split the third one in half, so you're using 2.5, and then you finish the stitch this way. So that's actually a stitch 2. So every single one of these stitches you're doing, you can actually do a half stitch in addition, and it has an effect. The nice thing with that site is she's got all these little samples of what it looks like. So, okay, let's do 2 plus 3 because that was the, what was that stitch called? 2 plus 3. Oh, here it says finish stitch, so maybe that's not the one I was thinking of. Or was it 3 plus 2? Crap, I don't know. Anyway, we're on like a, doesn't matter. So if I had 2, 3, so that would I'd have to have 5. 2 plus 3 is 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The times 5 are especially popular in Sweden, where they have had a lot of loosely plied and 2-ply available. I did not know that. Okay, now here's one Nell for you. Where do they do the half stitches? Ah, Rhonda's here. She found me. I'll replace the picture on this YouTube after and put a link to it. Okay, so 2 plus 3. This was that stitch that somebody was asking about. So I take 3 that way and go through 2, but I'm going to go under. You forgot it was Saturday. That's okay. I'm sending an hour later because Christmas market ran too. I didn't get done until after. I got to shove everything in the right direction here. So 2 on the thumb and then 1. I have to force this, but it's hard to do it while hugging a camera. 1, 2, 3 away. There. Usually after 1 or 2 stitches, it kind of falls into place and gets easier, yeah. So I don't know why I do that. I always grab with 1. So 1, 2, 3 away, and then turn. This is what I have a tendency to do. Take it all off, catch 1 on, and then put 1 back on again. I don't know why I do that. Does anybody else do that? Let's see. Uppland and Stockholm's land both have several half loops. Okay. That's, one is Uppland and Stockholm is Sweden. Well, Rhonda says, when I'm on a break, my calendar awareness bites the dust. That's the sign of a good vacation. Okay, just a second, because I can't hug the camera and write these, so I'm going to do more of those 3 plus 2, or 2 plus 3, sorry. But I'll do it off camera so I can turn it this way, though. Oop, top of my head. There we go. I can at least do it that way so you can see. But it's hard to do it around a camera. But these start looking like more and more herringbone, but they get really, really thick. So if you have thin yarn, like really thin yarn, lace weight even, you could just more loops. And just keep adding more and more loops, whether you put 1 on your thumb or 2 and then a whole crap load back, it doesn't matter. So you can adjust your stitch to yarn, and that's what I like about these finished ones. So if you make Oslo stitch and it looks too thin, make mommen. If the mommen looks too thin, make broden, which is 3 behind. But for some reason, Oslo is the one that looks like this, and all the other ones I think tend to start looking more herringbone when it comes to finish. I don't know. That might be just me though. Let's see. There. I really would prefer to do this with like a tapestry. It's a weaving needle, but it makes it easier for me to pick these loops when it gets this dense. There. That's another thing I tend to do. Okay, so I leave one on my thumb, so then I jump over one and then grab 3. But it's still 3 away and 2 forward. I have a tendency to do weird things. Does anybody else needle bind in a weird way? Let's see. 1, 2. I couldn't count the last stitch. Damn it, I did the wrong one. I did the last one wrong. I didn't do 3 behind, I did 2 behind. So, try it again. There. There's another little trick I can show you too. If you don't know what stitch you did, kind of, turn it down here and you can see. Okay, so when I have 2 on my thumb, put the 2 back on. If you look behind you, see there? Let's see if I fix it. Maybe you can't see it too well, but 1, 2, 3. If I pick one more, then I hit that loop there, that one. So if I pick one more, you can see I've already done that loop. So it has to be these 3 away. So if you're ever not really sure, just you can kind of see how many have to go away from you. And if you hit that loop, you've gone too far. So I need to do 3 away. Try to pull towards the top instead of the middle of your breast, and then you relax your shoulder more. I think you're right. I'm going to have to try that. There's yeah. Right now, I'm just not even thinking about my wrist. I'm just doing it as well. My wrist is okay right now. It's the elbow and the shoulder that's really bad. So I'm popping ibuprofen like mad. Okay, but anyway, so look at this. Look how thick that is. That's the back side, and that's the front side, and this is the 3 plus 2, 2 plus 3. Sorry. The 2 plus 3 one. And if the end looks bad, just cut it. But in contrast... Oh, this is another thing we had to talk. Somebody else had asked us one there, how many yarn arm lengths do you do? And I think most people were somewhere between 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, and some were even up to 6 and 7 of how much yarn you pull off. I can't really show you on this one because it's a skein. But I can show you on this one. I do this. I say wraps. You go, let's see, I can have to do it this way maybe. Maybe it's easier to show it that way. I do wraps. 1, 2, oh, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can do it really fast even. So I do 20. For some reason I have to do like 15 or 20 wraps, and that's how much yarn I will use. I have no idea how many arm lengths it is. That was somebody that was saying that when you do bill them, they kind of they pull the yarn through that way. But yeah, so, oh, Nella's like 7, 9, 11, or even 13 wingspans. Is that your thin yarn, though? Because the one you made the socks with, I would definitely use a long piece of yarn with that. That was super thin. That was, the one she made the socks with was like this thin. Really thin. But anyway, so that's how I pull it off. I can show you again if you're not sure. Because it looks kind of cool when you do it real fast. Nobody knows what you're doing, but yeah. You grab the end and you put it around your thumb and then around your pinky. Thumb, pinky, thumb, pinky. Just like that. And then I don't have to stretch my arms all the way out. So that's kind of how I pull mine off. I don't do wingspans, I do that. And then if you have to, you can leave a long tail, go under and grab it, and then pull it through, but don't tighten it, or don't let go of that end. And you have a little skein that you just have to pull that and the whole thing comes up. Marie says, I never measure windspans. I never measure windspans unless when I teach, I make a puddle on the table and estimate if I can work it. You know, that's kind of, well, there's my puddle. I can leave you there. Let's see, what else have I missed here? Rhonda says, I have a big 30-inch double drive Jensen, but I use my single drive Ashford most often. Oh, the spinning wheels. I need a spinning wheel. I want to get one of those little kiwi ones, if you've seen it from Ashford. But right now I'm still using this. I'm still using that. But I did spin some yarn this week. I tried to do that. I don't know if I have that in the bag or not. Maybe I have it in my bag. Maybe. Yeah, I did. Actually, I spun a little more than that. I spun this one and a little bit of that. This is like really thin though. So I might ply this. I don't know, but this is not plied, but that's because I don't have very much of this really dark colored. So I will embroider sheep with it. But that's on one of these because I can't afford one. A spinning wheel. No, some nice person's going to get me one for Christmas. Maybe Carl, if if he's watching. Above, I mentioned the tiny antique double drive that just came in my house. Oh, yeah, I saw that. I was just about to read that. My new little friend, my bestie, gave me an antique, very small, upright spinning wheel, which she was given by a retired spinner. I love it. It's the cutest thing, and I had to figure out double drive again. Have you seen those nano spinning wheels? You just kind of USB plug it in. You can do it in the car, apparently, if somebody else is driving. It's the drop spindle that is killing my shoulder. Well, I had to do that differently. I had to spin left-handed. It was funny. So, no, that I tried to do the drop spindle so that I could do a different motion with my wrist. Or with my arm. But, okay. So, anyway, there's my 2 plus 3. I can put that down a little more. Let's see. No, I can't. There it goes. So, now we'll get more of the plant dyed yarn here. See. So it was interesting to see how many wingspans people use, though, or how they'd measured it. I never thought about that before. I think that's the first time I've seen that question come up. I want a Turkish spindle, because the Turkish one, you can just take off the legs and fold it up, because they're the ones that go like this. So you can just undo it and it pack it flat instead of having to worry about this going. It's on my bucket list. I've got a lot of things on my bucket list. Okay. So now let's do the slow stitch with this thin yarn with just tensioning to my thumb because it's easier. So there's my start loop, then I need 2. And then we'll just do 1 away, 1 forward. 1 away, 1 forward. I don't know. So I always liked the number system because that's how I reminded it. But that doesn't always, that number system, the way I do it, doesn't always work. It's only if you do it the same way I do. So some people bind a little differently. Like I said, they do their oslo stitches with 2 loops on their thumb. Oops, I have to see that one a little closer. And then it kind of doesn't quite work that way. Okay, there's a lot of oslo here. Okay, so here's my thumb tensioned oslo stitch. It is airy, it's loosey, loose, I like that. It's airy and loose, and then there's the 2 plus 3. So if you're doing this and you think, I'd want it to be more dense than this is looking too lacy, just keep adding loops until you get it how you want. Although, in my opinion, this thing, you could make a shoe sole out of it. It's super thick. But, trying to think what else there was on there. There was the talk about the needles. If I have more needles, I might have some more needles with me. I have to look. This one was a gift somebody made me because it's got the nice drawings on it. I had to get her to make the eye bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's still a little on the small side. Actually, it's the cowl that I'm wearing. Let's see if I put it down. I used to have wrist warmers that went with this as well, and she was visiting the village. She's from Poland. Ava, I think it was, and she wanted to know if she could borrow my wrist warmers. I said, sure. And she liked them so much she wanted to keep them. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can just make myself another pair. So she gave me a needle and a heddle, actually, too. This one, too. Yeah, here it is. She gave me these 2 things to trade, which was kind of nice. But I had to make the eye bigger because I couldn't get nothing but skin yarn through. So she made me one of these. Maria's making some things like this with a different way. But there you can see what her name is. It says Just Weaving, but actually her last name is Just. There you can see that. Just, or J-U-S-T. So she calls it Just Weaving or Just Weaving. This is the one I made the little bookmarkers with, though. Anyway, so there's my little history on that. But if I try to take and put this yarn through here, let's see. It's not necessarily easy. So I wrote that if the eyes are small, it'll grip your yarn more. Actually, this is looser than I thought it would be. But if they're nice and big, then you can put that through there, and you can even do a double layer through the eye. But if you're going to do more than twice through an eye, you should use a 2-eyed needle or something with more eyes. So there you go. But this one, in my opinion, it's a little too short because I can't grab. But some people like that. Everybody's different. The one chooses the wizard. What else do I have in this bag? I have the juniper needle. That one's a little bit bent. It's maybe that might one actually work. It's kind of, I like them when they're thin when I use all these extra stitches. But I like that little hook that it has on it. It just kind of, this was Runa, I think, who made that one. Let's see. And then, oh, the needle that's not actually a needle yet. I don't know why I have that. It needs an eye and carving. I didn't make it. Somebody else made me a blank and didn't finish it. I do have the skinny needle in here. Let's see, where is it? Nope, I lied. It's a tapestry needle. Anne likes using these. I like using this, but I like it longer. But this one might be a little thinner than the weaving needle. Then we have this one. This one is round. We're pretty close to round, so that's easier if you want to twist your yarn every time. But for me, I will twist it and lose it, and then I'll have like a spin issue, so I kind of actually prefer them to be flat because then I know if I switched it or not. You can feel it. And if you have a curve, you can also feel, because if your curve is either this way or it's this way. So you can feel if you twisted your yarn on accident. I got so excited, I thought I had the skinny needle in there, and then I didn't. It was just the little weaving needle, the tapestry needle. Nope, I have a crap load of needles. Maybe next time I'll bring them, because this one is... oh, no, there's one more. I always have more. Apple. But this is also short. So these ones I won't use too often. I would use this one. Usually I will use the long metal one. And then I have one that's really big. And I don't think I have that in this bag, to be honest. So next time I'll show them. So what do you prefer? I mean, flat, round, long, short, curved, not curved, big eye, small eye. This is sounding like a completely different conversation, but so what do you prefer? Because everybody's different. So everyone's like, oh no, but you got to use this. And somebody else will say something completely different. What's the use of twisting your yarn? I wish Ann Decker was here, because she says that she's pretty good at that. Like, if your work is doing too much of this, or if your work is, if you have like a single ply here, and this single ply goes like this, but if you're pulling it through constantly, and at the end, when you start using the end of your yarn length, it starts looking more like that, and comes apart a little bit and works much easier, then you kind of want to twist it a little bit so you don't lose that spin. So that, I think, would be the biggest reason. Like that. I don't really have this issue too much. I don't know if it's because I use a flat needle or what, so I've never really bothered to worry about the twist thing, but I know Anne is, in her Zoom chats, will be giving advice every now and then that if you give it a little bit of a twist, it'll fix that problem. So I think it depends on how you needle bind. But I think also you can, sometimes the needle binding when it's flat, it will look like this, and you can, especially if it's York, and I think the way your yarn is twisted might be able to relieve some of that, but I'm not 100% sure. We need to tame Ann Decker here. to explain it. But I think anyway, but I know that at least if you're using single ply yarn, or even if you're using 2-ply yarn and it starts looking like that, then you want to introduce a little twist every now and then so it goes back. So, because you will actually see it in your stitches. If your yarn starts looking more like that than that. I have to catch up on chat here. We're getting a lot of needle binding in. That's what happens when Carl doesn't come. You love the teeny tiny heddle. This is cute. I made bookmarkers with it. It's in the shop right now, but what's another thing I will do with this wool? I will have extra. I'll put this in the shop, like 4 ounces of it or something, and people can buy that for embroidery or whatever if they want to make their own little embroidered sheep. But there's always going to be some left over that is under the 4 gram that I put in those skeins. So I will take those and I will use a heddle loom and just go back and forth with it, whatever's left of it, and then we put them in the store as like a bookmarker anyway, and they can get a little sample piece of weaving. So that's what but this is perfect size because, you know, it can be like that skinny, but it can be this wide too, depending on how tight you pull your stitches across. Do you know how a heddle loom works, since we're into needle binding here? If I have a thinner yarn. I need something thinner. Yeah, we can use this one. Marie is good with heddle looms. So if I had 2 lengths of yarn here. The only thing that's bad with this one I have an issue with is that the eyes are so small that it is hard to put the yarn through, especially when you're hugging a camera. So we're going to cheat. Let's see if I can do it this way. It's a rigid heddle, isn't that what this is called? Oh, this is harder than I thought. Okay. Will it fit through? No, it won't. I need a skinnier needle. So that was another thing. I would prefer these was thicker, but if you're using thin yarn, I guess it's just fine. I have to have another needle in here somewhere I can use. I have this little cute thing, by the way. You never see those little lantern things that they make with this is, I think, pig's ear or something like that. So they made a little one with a small piece left over, stitched it up, and stuck some wool in it, and it's now a pin cushion. I thought that was the cutest thing. But I was seeing if I had a needle in here that was thin enough to push it through, but maybe this one. Oh man, I got like diversion by diversion. I bought these during the market this year from Magda, who is a Polish vendor. This one is brass. This one is copper. And this one is iron. The iron one is like a knife, so I kind of like sewing with that one. But anyway, I don't usually use these, at least I didn't at first, but they're really nice to have historical needles in the village. But actually this thing pierces so nicely through any dense fabric, so I kind of like it actually. But anyway, more distractions and deviations. Let's see if I can get this yarn through. Oh, this is not going to go today. Now you see why I need to have wide holes on my needle binding needles too. It's not going to play with me. Let's see if I can put it this way. There we go. Maybe that'll do it. Okay. Ta-da! So if we do... You don't thread it this way, by the way. I'm just doing this to show. That way. And then we take another thread here. This I can use the bigger needle for. It's just to introduce thread into these slots, so you can see. There. So you've got your 4 threads. When this is pulled up, you have a shed. Oops, sorry. When this is pulled up, you have a shed going here. When it's pulled down, you have a shed going here. That's how a rigid heddle loom works. So, ta-da. Hvis det gir mening, ser we in Norwegian. If it gives you if you can figure out what I mean. Anyway, that's what that's for. Does anybody else make something with these? The bookmarkers were just the right size. Actually, it was somebody else. It was Virginia, actually. Virginia was making bookmarkers for the store, and we had like 2 left. And they sat there for the longest time, but then all of a sudden they sold real fast. And it's like, well, Virginia's not here. But people wanted more, so then I started making some. But they're not as good as Virginia's, just so you know. Hers are better. But anyway, so I started making bookmarkers with that one. It's just the right amount of holes. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying in chat here. Band heddle for that size. Yeah, that's right, yeah. Instead of doing like a tablet weaving band, you could do, to put on like the edges. Oh, and I also have to see what you guys said about needles here, what you liked. Audra likes them with 2 eyes. I like them with 2 eyes. Jessica's here, by the way. Jessica says she likes flat, medium length. Okay, so you're right in the middle. Regina's a flat, curved kind of lady. And Kiwi says she prefers also the flat needle. Favorite is made of bone. This one is bone, by the way. I have an antler one, but it's not here today. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, yeah, and you tried the electric one. Have one of the full-size electric eel E-spinners in the original E-mini and the newer one of the EW. The EW regular is great. The Nano is fun for very fine yarn, but not for serious amounts of spinning. Ah, good to know. Yeah, because I was thinking if you're going to ply it, and it doesn't have much room on there, but I guess it would be just fine for this stuff, which I just embroider with anyway. Or, yeah, I'd have to ply it if I wanted to do any needle binding with it. Okay, and the needles. Yeah, you can make tiny ribbons on those, 2 of those things. Garcia says, flat medium made of wood with 2 holes. Yep. The one I mostly use with this kind of yarn is about that long and has 2 holes and is wood. A little bit wider than that. TB is here, by the way. Hello. Thin, flat, or round, about 4.5 inches, and super smooth wood and polished bone. Just depends on the yarn, really. That's a polished bone. I like that. You know what, though? When you get these, they're kind of like rawish, and they look kind of just like white and like almost like a chalk kind of a texture. And then the more you use them, the more they get this kind of yellow and really smooth, which is kind of, and it works like butter. Kiwi says, I recently made a heddle woven belt for my Roman Iron Age outfit. Oh, Kiwi's got some, you got to look at, she's got a peplum and, a peplos dress. She's got a lot of cool stuff on her Instagram. You have to check it. Kiwi, you should link your Instagram on here so they can see you. She's been really going more authentic than I am, actually, when it comes to Viking. Although the peplos is pre-Viking, I think, but they still wear them in the Viking too. Band heddle for that size. Yeah, I read that one, actually. Ann Taylor says, I am using a bent tip needle, a metal tapestry needle with a large eye with tripled S4 ply cotton yarn. Yeah, so then yours might be a bit like my weaver's needle, but the one that has the tip kind of gets bent. That's easier for picking, I think, when they're curved. If you have to pick your loops out, it might be, when you have this many of them, like that, it might be easier to pick if it's slightly curved. So, like here, you can kind of pick it a little easier than with a straight one. So, that's one of the benefits I see with a curved needle. Anyway, let's see. Nella says, making a thread tool with fishing line like a lasso. Now, that might have worked to get the dang thing through there. I didn't have any sewing thread on. I could have whipped it through that way. TB says, I use one of those those on a backstrap loom. Yeah, this is good for a backstrap loom. I used to use a backstrap loom for tablet weaving, but then I found this loom, which was much better because when I learned how to do tablet weaving, my twins were 5, and you don't want to be attached to anything with 5-year-olds running around. So it was nice that I could just get up and walk away. So what other one should we do here with this? We can do the plaited edge. We can play with plaited edges. I've got so much stuff here. Let's just move it all out of the way. So there we got our Oslo and our 2+3 just to show a huge difference in thickness. huh? So let's take that one out of the way, get some more yarn. I lost the end. Okay, here we go. We're gonna pull the yarn through now. How many lengths? 15 to 20. No, I'm not gonna do it, but I always have to do them in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Something like that. I have to have quantities of 5. It's my OCD. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. So hopefully that's enough length. So let's do Mommin. Or not Mommin, Corgan, anyway, because I'm not connecting it, so it's Corgan. So that would be, see if you remember now. Oops. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so do you remember now, Corgan is 1 plus 2? That means you have 1 loop here and 2 away. Okay, so I'll make a bunch of these. Actually, at this stage, Mommin and Corgan are the same. It's when you connect that it changes from from Corgan to Mommin. If you use F2, it is Mommin. If you do F1, it's Corgan. There's not too many stitches that, I think, is that the only one? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the only one that changes with the connection? It's the same stitch, but when you connect it different, it has a different name. Or is there another one? I think there might be one more, but I can't remember it. Because everything is like, it's either York or York F2, Oslo or Oslo F2. Let's see, 3. I'll just use the end of this length. You know, someday I'm going to want to make something out of this yarn, and I'm going to have to unpick all this crap. It's actually a nice plant-dyed yarn, but I liked it because it's a very sturdy yarn, so it can take it. I can still feel some of the plant in it, though, so I think it might need another rinsing. It's a little stiff. I think we can get one more out of that. Okay, so this is Corgan. Stretch the chain so it looks better. That's back side, front side. We'll put that there. This is actually one thicker than that. As you can see the difference between Oslo and that. It's already a little denser. Actually, I think this is pretty good thickness for this type of yarn. Anyway, so, and now we'll do one with plaited edge, which was Rindal. I have to think. Yeah, no, we figured out it was Rindal. I actually got one right. So when they say plaited edge, it just means that you go over the leader yarn and not under it. So I need 2 loops to start. No, 3. 3 loops. So we're going to still do 1 plus 2. So 2 away and go through 1. My DH is making fried potatoes and turkey for our lunch. Oh my gosh, I missed Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, to the Americans out there. There was actually a question that came up in some forum. Do the Americans in Norway celebrate Thanksgiving? And some say yes. You know, I tried, but it kind of seems pointless to celebrate Thanksgiving here when nobody else is doing it and everybody's going to work on a day you would have off. So I kind of don't anymore. But we did do it here 2 years in a row in Gudvangen as just an excuse to get everybody together and have a party at the end of the season. And we made the restaurant make us some turkey. Our boss's husband owns the restaurant, so he made us some turkey. Any excuse to eat a turkey. As long as somebody else cooks it, right? So Carl and I have to make a turkey this year. Again. Because we're good with mayonnaise. Intense. Oh shit, you're right. I am. I'm making Corgan and Mommin. Damn it. You're right. I was going in, I was going to do Rindal. Damn it. Good on you, Marie. I was in automatic drive. Autopilot. That was stupid. Let's try this again. You know, I could have just started a new length of yarn, but no. Anyway, that's why this yarn was perfect for it, because it's sturdy, so it can actually handle me unpicking it so much. Now what do I have? 1, 2, 3. Whether in the right order, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Corgan is F1, yeah. Or Corgan is F1 and Mammon is F2. Just basically based on what was the find. Okay. And Mammon was the one with the silver wrapped yarn, I believe, wasn't it? Yes. Okay. Actually, Marie was the one that taught me that one too, the difference between Mammon and Corgan, because that used to be like a hot topic of debate in the needle binding world about what, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So we were constantly correcting everybody that, no, that's not Mammon. There's a difference. So anyway, okay, now I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to go 2 away. Sorry. And 1 forward, but I'm going to go over this yarn, the plaited edge. Right, lately I have been doing Dalby Dalarna in Oslo. So she has on that page that Dalarna is a turning stitch, I think, or an other stitch, I can't remember. And Dalby is a Russian stitch. But I think that's because you flip the loops around the backside. That's the only way I can tell the difference between the two. But I do kind of agree the regional naming is kind of misleading for them. Because Dalby is there a Dalby in Sweden too? I think there's a Dalby in Norway though. Let's see, 2. I do like Dalby. I prefer Dalby over Telemark. They're the exact same, except for Telemark you go over this yarn and Dalby you go under. The only reason, though, I like Dalby more than Telemark is because Telemark has a slight ridge to it, and if I'm ever going to use Dalby, it's usually because I want something very flat or to embroider on. There. See, this is where I'm going to want to put that twist back in the yarn, see? Because when I unpicked it, I pulled out a lot of twists, so then you can kind of fix it that way. Look at that. We had a good example for you, Anne. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a kid crying in the other room. It's a 1-year-old. He's their kid here for the Viking market. He's so cute. Ska vi se. Yep, the book Vinterblommor is, if I remember correct, is the Dalby mittens. Yeah, Vinterblommor is that winter flowers in Swedish. Dalarna is a kick, loop behind the thumb, scoop the thumb off the loop, and then go under the working yarn. Yep. Okay, so now here you've got the plaited edge. And what was it? This one is the non-plaited edge. You see the difference? This is the right side. But you can see when they say plaited edge, it kind of gives it like a little braid. And then the back side, as Mammon, is this way. And the back side of, actually I should do it that way. And the back side of Rindal, the plaited edge one, is that way. So there's a slight difference. This one seems a little bit looser. But on the front side, you can see the difference too. But this is also thicker. And this is a little thinner by the feel of it. I made the mystery bag, the mystery project. Oh, I gotta kick my patterns up on Instagram because they're falling so far down it's hard to find. But the mystery one is a bag, and I think I used Rindal for that one, and I regretted it because the Rindal edge was kind of looser, and it was it always looked like when I went around it, it always looked like it was waving. And I did my math correctly. It shouldn't wave. But when I did one more round, then the wave was gone down here, but it was always the end row that looked like it was waving. And it's because of the plaited edge. It's the plaited edge was doing. So every time I had to take a picture of it, I had to steam block the thing so it didn't look like it was all wavy and wrong. So to fix it, I did the whole thing in Rindal, but I did actually do the very last row on it in Mammon so that I wouldn't have this wavy look onto it. So that I think would be the only downside. And I did that with, I made a hat with Bjørsbo as well. It's a bottom-up hat. That's also a pattern. And that also is, it almost looks a little wavy on the working row. I don't know why exactly. I know Anne would have a really good technical reason for that. But that's the only thing I don't like about that stitch. But like, you know, you can make the whole thing that way and just do the end row with going under the yarn instead of over, and that'll fix it. And then you won't have to have that problem with me. So there we go. We got Oslo, Mommen, or Corgan, and then Rindal. We'll put that in between because it's a little thinner. And then this massive 2+3 thing here that's super thick. So should we play with Dalby? Because we've got time here. You know, no Carl. Let's get our needle binding geeking on. Let's see if I maybe move this here. Camera's going to fall off the edge of the table. Okay, I need more yarn. Let's see. Another one of my favorite stitches is Dalarna. Dalarna is more dense than Oslo, but it's the same amount of loops. But we'll show Dalby first. Okay. Dalarna is so pretty. It looks like wove. It looks like it's woven. That's why I like it. But you know, if you do Oslo M1, it also kind of has the same woven look to it. Oslo M1 means when you're binding with your Oslo, you don't go through here. This is F1. You go through there. Sorry, there. The middle one. And when you do that, your Oslo will suddenly look a little bit more like Dalarna. It's quite cool. Try it. You'll love it. Next Saturday, we should be back at 6 o'clock again, by the way. There's no reason that we'd have to do it at 7 now. The clock is 20:02 now. Oh, that's right, because we split it. All right, well, you know what? We'll save Dalby and Dalarna for next week. So if Carl's not better, then I can do that. You're right. I forgot because we had to do a second one that the time is wrong. I'm sitting here looking at the counter and it says 46 minutes, so I'm thinking I have more time left. No, so let's do 6 o'clock next week. Yeah, thanks for hanging in. I will link the old video to this one, so all you have to do is tap, and then it'll go through and I'll change the picture on it or something. Kiwi says, ooh, thank you for the tip. You got to try Oslo M1. You'll love it. It's a game changer. You're using Dalby on a Mobius skull. Yeah, that'll be really, on a Mobius skull, the one that twists. That's so cool. See if I had anything else, though. I think I'm pretty much caught up. We got our needle binding on. It was fun. Carl will get well. It's just a cold. I made him test. It doesn't have the corona because I was afraid if he did, then I would have sent him home immediately. Choose! Says Rhonda Hegman. And TV, have a great week. We got more Christmas stuff to do tomorrow. And yes, don't forget to check Maria's blog. She'll be linking it somewhere on needle binding groups anyway, but go check. There's a lot of fun little cool Christmas things to make there. And then in a couple of weeks, you can see what the heck this thing is. Okay, bye. Thanks for putting up with me.